Happy Halloween! Yeah, I know. It's not Halloween. I'm late. Whatever, okay? I wanted to make a Halloween episode still. Can you guess who I am? Everyone told me I should be Coraline for Halloween, so I already had this, and this cost $7 at the resale shop. I hope you all had a spooky Halloween. I'm super late on this video. I apologize. I do have mental health issues. They keep me in a chronic bed rot. Sometimes I just don't want to create. I don't know. I couldn't get to it, guys. I'm sorry. Anyway, hello. My name is Barry, and this is my bed. Do you have chronic bed rot too? Well, I mean, even if you don't, that's fine. You're welcome here. I like to give you my take on TV shows and true crime cases that I find interesting. However, this video is going to be a little different. I was thinking about getting pretty snarky. We're going to talk about GYPSY Rose Blanchard. I just recently recapped season 2 of Life After Lockup, so if you'd like to watch that, go on back. My finale episode got kind of long. I was just recapping the episode, and I didn't really get to put in a lot of my thoughts. That's what this episode's for. First, I want to remind everybody why I started this series in the first place. I was watching this show with my keen eye, and I just noticed a lot of things production did that made me think they don't like her. They hate this bitch. I really wanted people to be able to feel like they watched the show without actually giving her any views, which I guess that doesn't matter anymore because the show didn't get signed for a third season because the views were already low in the first place. So first, I just kind of want to touch on a couple things that production did in the early episodes that we haven't talked about in a while, just to remind you and refresh in your mind, because it's been a couple months it took me to cover this series. Oh, first off, I first want to start out by saying I went a little hard on Ryan last episode in the finale, talking about, why are you going to take a paternity test when they've already taken one, and why is there only a court order being established after hostility is in the scenario. You guys reminded me in the comments that he was supposed to take a paternity test anyway, so I went hard for no reason, really. For the divorce, to prove that he's not the dad, he was supposed to do it after the baby was born, so I don't know. I forgot about that. And yes, people who said that he shouldn't have trusted GYPSY's paternity test anyway because GYPSY's a liar. I mean, but he believes everything she says anyway, so I thought he would have believed her. But I think she fed the narrative. He might be the dad. I don't know. There's a sliver of a chance. So my bad. Actually, not my bad. Brian, you deserve a little shit for this. You're still hooked on this thing. I can't say woman. I can't call her a woman. I just can't. She's a thing. It. One major component production did to set the scene of how there's turmoil in Ken and GYPSY's relationship was the opening scene of season 2, episode 1. The first thing they show is the empty bed, with the little makeout picture. I loved that. And it shows them putting clothes away or something like that. She's like, I wish I had cuter pajamas. You said that yesterday. Gives the impression he's annoyed with her. They pan over the unopened book of expecting fathers. He's never touched it. They let us know. And they interview Ken, and he's talking about how he thought he never moved to Louisiana, but life happens, and here we are. It shows him talking about the transvaginal ultrasound where they probe me. Well, at least it's you and not me. Oh, I heard that. Why do you have to be so real all the time? And then it pretty much just cuts right to them interviewing GYPSY, talking about how often she talks to Ryan, and she says every time she talks to him, she has to apologize for what she's done. So, we start out, show their little soulmates picture, and then they're arguing over, you said that yesterday, God. You're always repeating yourself, GYPSY. God, I never thought I would move here to Louisiana, but here I am. They're gonna probe me at the transvaginal appointment. Better you than me. I heard that. Stop being so real all the time. I'm always having to apologize to Ryan. It's the first couple minutes of the show. And they chose to start the show out like that. They chose those scenes. Everything is done for a reason by production. Starting out strong with their relationship. I'm still talking to my ex-husband, though. But he's not really my ex. It says a lot to me how production opened that first 3 minutes of the episode. Maybe 5. 5 minutes. The first 5 minutes of the episode. That's what we get. Oh, and remember the part when they actually do go to the transvaginal ultrasound? And they're showing the picture, and there's a life growing in here. It's so interesting. I'm going to be a father. And then their smiles fade both at the same time. They didn't cut that scene any sooner to cut that out, did they? While they were still smiling. Something production also liked to do is after showing a scene with GYPSY and Ken where they're kind of like, there's issues going on. They cut to Ryan immediately after, like here they're in their therapy session and they're crying and they're all upset, and then it cuts directly to Ryan and he's thanking his supporters. Thanks, Team Ryan! Yeah! And they always put Gypsy's husband on there and Gypsy's boyfriend for Ken. So any layman person who has no idea the true crime or no idea anything, watched her confession show, none of that, would be like, what is going on here? This bitch has a husband and a boyfriend? With a documentary like this, anytime you see Gypsy, Mia, Ryan, Ken, and talking to the camera, especially being asked questions by production, those questions are typically cut out, and it's just them talking. Like they inserted this information, but really they're being asked these questions. It's just an editing style, I guess. Sometimes production would leave in questions, and you can hear someone off camera asking the question, they would leave them in. These questions sometimes made me think that they were in the social media lore, everything that was going on, like the scene where Ken's talking about how he hates having to drive to cut off because all the miles he puts on his Jeep, and I don't like staying in Gypsy's bed because it's a full, and I gotta sleep in a king bed. That scene? It's like, I don't like body warmth and I don't like when our butts touch, and someone off camera says, oh, so you don't like butt touching? Insinuating they know what's going on about the allegations about his sexuality? Yeah, I like that. Oh, and recently, Ryan let us know that Gypsy broke Ken's headboard because she's talking to him. And then she, like within a day or two, posted their new bed. So he lost his king-size bed. I don't know what size they have, but it's not king anymore. I hope it's not a full. He might actually divorce her, or he might actually break up with her over a full-size bed. Another question you heard production ask them, they left in, was when she fake fainted. And I think they were calling her out there. She fake faints because she did. Okay, the woman got the needle ready. That's when you'd start freaking out. She put the needle in her arm. You'd be freaking out. You'd probably faint at that point if you're so scared of needles. But she was done, gave her sample of the blood, and then she's swabbing Ken. And when she's done with Ken, then she faints. Then she starts acting like she's gonna faint. Okay, so production asks her, what was it? Were you stressed? Was it the reality of the situation? Like, well, what the fuck was that about? Part of me thinks the reason why she did this whole fake fainting thing was because of how much backlash she got in season 1. The backlash for getting a tattoo and being scared of needles and traumatized from needles. And that didn't bother her. Or getting her nose done. Okay, she went and got her nose done. She had to give blood for that. And we didn't hear any traumatic story about how she fainted when she gave, because she's so scared of needles. We didn't hear any of those stories in season 1 when that happened, because they filmed that part. They filmed all that. We didn't see that. Okay, so people were saying shit online about her not being so trigger traumatized by needles and all that shit. So all of a sudden she gives blood for a DNA test and now she's gonna faint over it. Okay, it's because of what people were saying online. Side note, I also think production made a really good point to make us hate Ken too, like in the Fear Factor 7-year anniversary dinner where he was making her eat octopus, and that whole scene was cut and edited and chopped up in a weird way, because as I'm watching it and I made my video, I'm bitching that Gypsy didn't get to order anything. She's pregnant, he's making her eat seafood, and she doesn't like salad. But he ordered the food for them. He ordered 2 things, that's all they showed, that's all they ate. All right. And she didn't eat anything. She's pregnant. She's probably hungry. So I'm like, what? I don't like Gypsy. You're making me feel bad for Gypsy. I don't like that. Turns out she did eat. Like there was an article that came out that she ordered food there. She ate a main meal. That was an appetizer and that was a salad. And then they got their main course. So she ordered food for herself and she ate. But they didn't make it look like that on the episode. They made it look like Ken ordered for her. He's demanding. He's controlling. Eat it. Just swallow it. She has trouble swallowing, Ken. Chill. God. She can only take small bites. I mean, that's why you cut it up for a real small, nice lack, didn't you? Give her a chance to swallow it. It takes a minute. Someone told me I'm not mean by making that joke, so Becca Scoops would be proud. But he goes on to publicly shame her, and then she's crying in the bathroom, so we don't see her eat. So I thought that was interesting, the way they cut and edited that whole scene. Oh, and remember they made the point to show when she's coming back from the bathroom, he flipped his phone over face down and then he grabbed it real quick and then put it under on the table so she wouldn't see it because he was on his phone doing something and then had to hide it from her. They put that on camera. They left it in the show. Let you know, see, hey, look, Ken's a shady bastard. And I brought this up multiple times that when Ken and Gypsy go out to eat in season 2, they're in restaurants full of people. This restaurant, and they go out to lunch and it's full, the restaurant's full, but in season 1, they didn't do that. Ken and Gypsy don't like being recognized. They don't like people gawking at them when they're sitting next to them. They don't like that shit. Production doesn't like them. So I think they stopped footing the bill to pay for the restaurant to have the exclusivity and the privacy while filming and eating. I think they stopped footing the bill for that because they don't want to do it for Gypsy and Ken. I mean, we see later in the season, Mia goes out to eat with Gypsy and they get a private pizzeria. I mean, maybe the place was dead. You could be right. I don't know. Someone said that to me. But I really think they stopped footing the bill for that shit because they don't like Gypsy and Ken. Just my opinion. And I'm sticking to it. They just don't like Ken either. Remember the episode when he fixes the stroller? Like he comes in and the voiceover is like, I'm getting ready to organize and prep and plan for the baby that's coming, blah, blah, blah. And then it cuts directly to him just pointing everything out in Gypsy's room. Like, what's that? What's that? How do you use that one? Like he doesn't know anything, but he's getting all organized. One of my favorite stabs at Gypsy and Ken too, I guess, is in episode 2, they do a flashback and it shows Ryan saying goodbye to Gypsy, like hugging on her and kissing her before he leaves for work. And then it flashes to Ken and Gypsy and he's like loving on his dog, like, oh, Parker, you're such a good boy. Yes, you are. Yes, you sweet boy. Yes, you are. And then he goes, bye, love you, from the door to Gypsy. Like that's all she got. I loved that. That was one of the best things ever that they did. They do that shit on purpose because they don't like her. I'm telling you. Then they show Ryan drinking that rack drink, the nasty ass thing with the chunks. Ken would never. He would never try that nasty ass drink. But he makes her try octopus. They did another little stab at Gypsy with a flashback, and Chrissy and her are on the way to Lake Charles to get her, uses Ryan's insurance to get the upper partial dentures or whatever. And she says in a voiceover that she just regrets things. She regrets some things with Ryan. And then it cuts to a flashback of her in the car with Ryan. He's like, who are you texting? I'm just texting my sister. Like, that was a lie. Was that one of your regrets? Lying to Ryan about texting Ken? And then they had time before their dentist appointment or something, so her and Christy go off this like riverfront to sit and chat on camera or whatever. And then later in that episode, maybe even the next scene, we see Ryan walking on this riverfront with Pixie, and production asks him, would you want to walk here with Gypsy? They cut that question out, but I know they asked it because he just randomly says, yeah, I'd love to walk here with Gypsy. This is a perfect place to stroll with your partner on a Sunday. Diabolical. Ryan keeps himself in a bubble. There was something in my comments from episode 2 I wanted to touch base on here, where Christy and Gypsy are sitting out at the riverfront and they're talking, and Christy says that Ryan would grow hate for that baby because it would remind him of Ken. And y'all were in the comments like, so is that what Christy thinks of Gypsy? I said that in the video because I did think about it. I just never put it in because it's so true. Like, she probably think that's why they were neglecting Gypsy and not in there, because Gypsy would just remind Christy of Dee Dee, even though Gypsy looks like Rod. I think one of the major reasons that Rod wasn't involved in Gypsy's life was Christy. Might be why she's pushing so hard now to be the number one person in her life. Some sick way to make up for that. Or just get the money. They ended the first 2 episodes with turmoil between Gypsy and Ken. The first episode was their Fear Factor anniversary dinner, 7 years. That was awful. She ended up crying in the bathroom. And then the second episode, there's the brush of an ex-girlfriend. Can't buy 2 of everything, Gypsy. God. They showed her going through Ken's stuff like she did Ryan's, but she's like, he'd throw a fit if I threw this out. She didn't do that for Ryan, though. Ryan and Ken are a lot alike in that department. Maybe it's just common decency not to throw people's stuff away, Gypsy. I remember she was the only one packing Ken's stuff, too. I thought that was weird. Ken didn't do shit. Last scene, they did this in season 1, too. The only time I really caught it in this season was this episode here, the second one, where they were just like, they end the episode with a box that says fragile and them in the background. Fragile relationship. It's breakable. Hanging on by a thread. Which now they don't live in that house anymore because they couldn't afford the rent. which makes me feel like they thought this show was going to get a third season. They did not know that this was going to end. Because for a prepper and a planner, why are you living above your means, Gypsy? She's not so bright, so I don't know. Another thing production did I found amusing was constantly showing hater content. This is GYPSY Rose Blanchard's Life After Lockup show to try and show how she's rehabilitated and moved back into society, and all you want to show is how everyone hates her. You don't show any of her fans. Are the fans real? Because we don't see any comments or, videos or nothing like that. Every episode, they're showing videos of content creators hating on them or comments just hating on Gypsy about her big nose. And where are her fans? Where are the 9.3 million fans in the comments supporting her? They did show 2 little videos where people were like concerned about her well-being, and that was about as nice as it got. Production liked to add in little things that Gypsy and Ken said under their breath, like they kept it in the mic, and I loved that. Like the scene where they went to San Francisco and he's like ironing, and he's like, am I even doing this right? I've never ironed a day in my life. She's like, yeah, you're doing great. And there's not even wrinkles in it. Yes, there is. But in her defense, she can't really see really well. So Ken, she probably just couldn't see the wrinkles from that far away, making her strain her one eye real bad. Oh, and when they showed out to the college and they pulled in and she said to Ken, looks like a underground bunker. Kind of rude. One thing I did notice about this episode was that when her and Ken were practicing the questions at the hotel for the interview at the college, San Francisco College, the one question they talk about is questioning how she handles rumors. And she says that she just doesn't breathe life to them. That's how they don't bother me. But this episode literally opened up and started talking about her and Ken talking about the haters. And Ken says you have to have a certain level of patience with Gypsy when it comes to this stuff. So it really does affect her, and she breathes a lot of life to it. She's constantly trying to debunk the rumors. So I thought it was interesting that of the multiple questions I'm sure they practiced, that was the one they focused on, because that was the theme of the episode, was content haters hating on Gypsy, and it bugs the shit out of her. But no, I don't breathe life to it. And I would bet money production told that woman to introduce her to the interview as GYPSY Rose Blanchard Anderson. Production left in people laughing at her. They showed people laughing. Or whenever she was asked the question, how has it been rebuilding her life on parole? And she's like, it's been a journey. And they're all like, oh! I think production even made jokes on Gypsy. Okay? Because, when she got the tarot reading and the tarot lady is like, you have a spirit watching over you. And then it cuts to a commercial break. So we're all talking shit on the commercial break. Oh my God, it's Dee Dee. It's Dee Dee. And then it cuts back and she's like, it's a grandmother. Oh yeah, I was really close to my grandmother who died whenever I was a child. I don't remember her really, but we were really close. They even snitched on Gypsy. Remember the whole fake stalker? You guys told me that her and Christy are actually friends in real life, so it was all fake, which pisses me off because laws and regulations against stalkers, are really behind in the times, and it's just scary to think about. So it just gives a bad name to people who are actual victims of actual stalking. Fake being stalked, you stupid ass. Anyway, but Gypsy's putting up this narrative that it's super scary, okay? There's this stalker here. She's home alone, so she needs to go to Ken's, okay? She's going to use her days at Ken's now because Rod and Christy aren't there, so I'm going to go use my days there now. Well, we see her go to Ken's, and then it shows the next day at the bottom of the screen. They haven't shown no timestamps this whole season. No, 2 hours later or 2 weeks later. They didn't show any of that. This is the first time they've done this, and it says the next day. And it shows her pumping up a, exercise ball that she never uses. I think she was just doing it for the doula lady who came over for her private birthing class. She had a scheduled private birthing class the day after she left her house because of the stalker. She's just randomly chose to go to Ken's house. That's a lie, because she had a preset appointment for the doula class. It was a lie. They caught her in a lie, and they put it on screen. They let us know. And remember when they called her out after she got the DNA test results? She was out with Bree, right? She's in the gas station, and she gets the results that Ken's the father. Look at that beautiful beauty. You see it? Yeah. Okay. She called Ken a couple times. He didn't answer because he's working. Production, it looks like, pulled them out of the car at the gas station for a quick impromptu interview on the side of the road with the grassy field behind her at the gas station. You can see the road behind her. And asked her, so you're posting it before telling Ken? Yeah, well, he's at work. He didn't answer. He's at work. I just had to post it. Now everybody knows. After she made that post, GYPSY made a comment saying she was in a great state of mind. I don't know how long it's going to last, but I'm in a great state of mind right now. Because she made the post. She was getting comments. She was getting likes. She was getting positive feedback. She was getting high off of it. There is something wrong there. Another notch on the narcissism belt. Production played true crime music, like styled from Forensic Files, when she was talking about how writing her book made her closer to her story. Because writing something down helps you remember it better, right, GYPSY? And another major tell that production didn't like GYPSY was how often her hair looked like shit. She looked like shit. They didn't fix her hair. They didn't have like makeup in production say, oh, hold on, wait a second. No. In the industry, if production likes you, they're going to make sure you look nice. But if they don't like you, they don't give a shit. Let her look a fool. Thank you. I'm not going to keep going. You guys get the gist of this. Production does not like her. That was like the first 4 episodes. And to me, it's just super obvious. I get why they're not signing her for another season. GYPSY said in one of her lives that it was because she wasn't going to show Aurora's face.
I was like, with respect, no, I turned down your offer. I'm not going to accept more money just to unblur her face. So that was that whole thing about unblurring or blurring, not blurring her face in the show.
But that's bullshit. Like, they're still going to make the show and blur her face or just not show her. I heard that along with ratings, she breached her contract while on an NDA. She was bad-mouthing production in the show, and so they said, F you, we're not going to assign you for another show then. We're going to stop paying your bills, sister. GYPSY also, when they started this show, was a victim, and then slowly throughout, you could see all the hate she was getting. It was just getting worse and worse from the show. Like, it was just giving more fodder. More for us to work with, really. So the show was tanking. I personally think that if GYPSY was not in the public eye, like if she was just some normal old parolee, no famous, not in the social media, not have her own TV show. She was just some regular old parolee who left her prison husband for her ex-prison fiance and then gets pregnant with him while she's still married to the other guy, like all this kind of stuff. I don't think that she would even bat an eye. Because when they were filming season 1 and she's going through all this, she was happy as a clam. Happy as could be. No one's going to make me happy. I'm going to go out and be happy. I got to get my own happiness. Because of the backlash we gave her, she realizes she's a bad person. All the backlash makes her think before she speaks or before she acts. A little bit. I don't think she's capable of feeling empathy or remorse, but she's realizing that she should feel these things for what she did because of the constant backlash we give her. Good job, guys. GYPSY's obsessed with what we say about her, with what people say about her. Ken even said it in the show that she spends hours and hours and hours scrolling the comments. Despite her claim she doesn't breathe life to the rumors. Yes, she does. And it's to a point of obsession, which is just another notch in the narcissism belt. One thing I don't like that production did was they didn't really hone in on a lot of the social media stuff. You could tell they were in on it. Like, they knew what was going on, but they didn't focus on it enough. Like, yeah, they showed the clip of her being like, you'd have to be crazy not to take me back. That shit. But I felt like they could have talked about it more or showed a little bit more of it. Like I said, I think that production favored Ryan because he was a victim of GYPSY and Ken. And he didn't talk bad about the show. He didn't give away any reveals or anything like that. GYPSY was all over social media ruining everything for the show. So they kind of put Ryan in a good light despite his own issues, which I kind of played psychologist on the couch. Diagnose people from my bed, which you can't really do. I mean, I don't really have any psych background. I took some psychology classes in high school and college, but that was a long time ago. But I want to say that I think Ryan has something called limerence. GYPSY is the limerent object. I learned what this is from a TikTok story I got lost in about this woman who became obsessed and fell in love with her psychiatrist. She used the word limerence. She had limerence for him. So I'm going to read you the definition of limerence and let's go over and see if we think in the comments that Ryan has limerence. is the state of being infatuated or obsessed with another person, typically characterized by a strong desire of reciprocation of one's feelings, but not primarily for a sexual relationship. Key characteristics of limerence: intrusive thoughts, desire for reciprocation, idealization, intense emotions, fear of rejection, involuntary nature. Limerence feels involuntary and can be a powerful, addictive experience that impacts one's emotional state significantly. It's a form of psychosis. He can't help it anymore. He's literally delusional. But let me know in the comments, do you think Ryan has limerence? I definitely think he needs to seek professional help if he hasn't already. I definitely don't think he is seeing a therapist or a psychologist. Nothing. No. The way he talks on his live still to this day, no, he doesn't. There's no way. He has no therapy verbiage when talking about these things. Like, no, he doesn't. He does not seek professional help at all. He just has no job and goes live every day, and that's how he makes his money. It's bad. People are accusing him in my comments on the lives of him using again. I think he thinks she's going to come back. Still, he has this hope. And that's why he won't say anything negative about her. And that's why he won't spill any tea on her, because he doesn't want to burn that bridge. He doesn't want to make it to where she won't come back. He thinks she will. He's released things in his TikTok lives recently that she called him 8 times. She still reaches out because I mentioned the headboard thing. He knew about that before she posted that they got a new bed. It's just confirming that they're corresponding. And I think her Dallas Cowboys costume was for Ryan. I understand that he's a Saints fan and he hates the Cowboys, but I mean, she bought a football cheerleader costume, okay? The one you're going to find at the Halloween store is probably the Cowboys. Oh, he loves him some football and jerseys. I commented in one of his lives, did you see Gypsy's Halloween costume? He totally ignored me, but I know he saw it. Ryan did an interview with Sarah Fraser on her podcast, and he pretty much blames Christy for the whole thing. He says Christy and Ken brought Gypsy to the divorce lawyer, and there's nothing I could do about it. I didn't know they were taking me there, so I had to sign the papers. That's what he thinks. That's what he thinks. Go watch the interview. He also thinks that if Gypsy had married Ken while she was in prison, then she would have left Ken when she got out and he'd be with Ryan right now. That's what he thinks. And Gypsy would apparently be with him if Ken wasn't threatening custody of Aurora. If you leave me, I'll move to Texas and take Aurora. That's why they're not together right now. That's what he thinks. Delusional! I mean, Ken and Gypsy's relationship is holding on by a thread. And I'm sure Ryan stating that they're still in correspondence did not bode well for their relationship. Because why is she calling him 8 times? Their divorce is finalized. Paternity is established. What do you need to talk to him for? Huh, Gypsy? What is it? Huh, Gypsy? And I bet this is why Ken still hasn't proposed. Because like I said in one of my last videos, she was on live talking about that's why Ken didn't propose after season 2, because he overheard the conversation she was having with production about secretly sending Ryan glamour shots and photos of her and Aurora that were so innocent. So if she's still contacting Ryan, I bet this is still why he hasn't proposed to her, even though she keeps asking for a ring in her TikTok lives. Oh, and I'll try to find the clip because you can go back and watch the live. I posted the live. Gypsy was on a Bree's panel or something before Bree blocked me. She was on a panel and she was like, oh, do you want to tell him, Sheena? Or should I? Oh, yeah. And then Sheena's stupid ass voice starts talking about how she's going to buy Ken's wedding ring for Gypsy. Because I guess Gypsy can't afford it.
I wasn't going to tell anybody, but since Gypsy went ahead and said it, I'm buying his ring for their wedding since he's already bought hers. You heard it here first, folks. No, I'm kidding. It's for our wedding. I'm sending Ken a ring for our wedding. Somebody's getting married. That's all I got to say. Yep.
I noticed the whole second season, Ken was wearing a wedding ring on his wedding finger. And in one of my TikTok lives, I was talking about that, and someone stated that Gypsy got him a promise ring. She wants a ring so bad. She's like, here, you take a ring. Now where's mine? You know, that's what that was about. And he wore it all season. But she didn't have a promise ring. Fuck, Ken. What the fuck? Not even a promise ring for this girl? Wow. She has stated in her recent lives, like, how she had her own room, and some people think that that's weird, but I don't. Like, if I'm gonna be married, I'm probably gonna have my own bedroom too. I like that idea. I guess that's just me. I thought it was weird that they had separate bathrooms. I don't know why that was weird, but I thought that part was weird. I do want to touch on the topic of the baby. Okay, because I get this comment a lot, and I get asked this in my TikTok lives, like, do you think the baby is real? Do you think she was really pregnant? Because some of you think that there was no baby at first, and now that there's like some baby on loan from her brother or something like that. So it's a hot button topic that a lot of people, there's a, theory going around that she never had a baby. And I just want to say that I think there is a baby, and I think the baby is GYPSY Rose Blanchard's baby and Ken's. I do believe that. One of the theories is that the baby is like on loan to GYPSY from her brother, but her brother didn't even want to be a part of the show. Like any of the shows, any of the documentaries, why would he go along with this charade? Why would Lifetime as a production go along with this charade? I can't deny that there are some weird facts about her size and the timeline of the pregnancy and the labor and all that. Yes, there are weird things about that, but I have a theory. The whole part about her not looking pregnant as she was at this time, or looking pregnant here and not pregnant here, like, I don't really look into any of that, because when I was pregnant with my first, I didn't look pregnant for the longest time. People were so shocked I was 7 months pregnant because they said I looked 4 months pregnant. Like, I just carried differently. I don't know. I don't take into that too much, because every woman is different. Every body is different. There are allegations that she wore a fake belly, while, yes, there are times where it does look like she's wearing a fake belly. I will give that to you 100%. But I have a theory. Ken saying you always wear tight clothes, which she did. That would keep the fake belly in place, all those tight clothes. Yes, I agree with you. Timeline is all wonky. Ken went on to Sir Morbid's panel or something like that and said that GYPSY was supposed to have an induction done on January 16th when she was due on January 22nd. And that was like a big point of contention. People were like, what the heck? So then Raina had to come on the next day, his mom, and Raina said, oh, he just doesn't know things. Actually, she started dilating at 34 weeks. So that's why she was going to get induced. Okay. So there's a lot of controversial shit going on with the timeline of this pregnancy. In the season, there was that day, the Christmas dinner day, where she had that invasive appointment. All of a sudden, Ken can't go to invasive appointments, and she had to go to the hospital because she's dilated 3 centimeters. She's going to the hospital, but everything was fine. It was a fluke. And then 6 days later, her water half breaks. When she's home alone, everyone knows she's about to pop. And why is she home alone and Mama Sharon has to drive her? Where's Christy? Like, all of this stuff was very suspicious to me. I get it. And my theory has started since all of this was going on. Since the pregnancy, because this has been going on for a while, that her pregnancy was fake. All of this stuff is this theory has been around for a while, and I have been in on it. Okay. I think that part of her pregnancy was fake. Initially, before the paternity test was revealed, I thought that she was faking the pregnancy because she didn't want people to think that the baby was Ryan's. So she was faking part of it, the end of it. That way people wouldn't, but people did that anyway. With her being born on December 28th. I don't think that was it. I don't think that was why. The paternity test is out. He's not the dad. I don't think that was the reason she faked part of her pregnancy. I think there's something suspicious with her daughter going on. I think it's something suspicious. I think that they don't want us to know she was having complications during pregnancy, that she was passing on her chromosome deletion to her daughter. I think she didn't want us to know that she was extremely premature. She had a scheduled C-section, probably. Most women her size have C-sections. Smaller women of stature tend to have C-sections. From what I've seen in my own experience of knowing shorter women, because I'm a giant, a lot of my friends are short, all had C-sections, multiple C-sections. I think there was a C-section, was planned, and she was going to be premature because of the chromosome deletion. She was given steroid shots to help the lungs develop, because the lungs develop at the end. I just don't think Lifetime would go along. All these people would have to be going along with this lie. Like, some of the theories I hear about the fake baby is just a little, It's too much for me. I do believe that there is suspicious activity around the pregnancy, around the labor, around all of that. There's a possible fake belly, I think, because she faked the length of her pregnancy. She faked it being longer than it actually was because she didn't want people to know she passed along the chromosome disorder to her daughter. This is why she won't show her face. She still shows her baby. She shows her baby crawling around on live, climbing on her, but she doesn't show her face. Why doesn't she show her face? Because we would be able to tell she has a chromosomal deletion, the microdeletion, by looking at her face. That's what I think. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. So in conclusion, I think y'all picked up on something. Yes, it's suspicious, but I think the baby's real. I think it's really Gypsy and Ken's. She cares too much what people think about her. She doesn't want us to know that the baby possibly has the microdeletion or could have potentially had the microdeletion. She didn't want us to know that. Now she's telling us that her kid could pass along microdeletion, and that's why she wants IVF done. So that way she cannot pass along this microdeletion. Luckily, Aurora was unscathed. She didn't get it. Just like Gypsy's unscathed from all her symptoms of the microdeletion, you know. I just don't believe it. I think her daughter has it. I think that when she was diagnosed back in 2011, doctors told her, like, with this microdeletion, you probably shouldn't have children. Probably have to go through IVF so you don't pass it along to your children. I feel like she's known this for a long time, and she still wanted to have that child, despite the gamble that she could have the microdeletion. And to me, a doctor telling her that she can't have kids checks to me, because Mia thought she couldn't have kids because of all the surgeries and the side effects from them. What if it was because actually a doctor told her she can't have kids? Not because all the surgeries, because a doctor told her she can't have kids or she'll pass on the microdeletion. What if her mother Dee Dee was very against that? You don't want to deal with what I deal with, Gypsy. What I go through every day to make sure you are happy and healthy. You don't want to deal with this. You don't want to have a kid. What if that was another reason for Gypsy to, you know? Because her mom was anti her having kids. And she wanted to have a kid so badly. Who knows? Who knows? I do, however, end the baby stuff. I want to talk about another bed diagnosis I gave to GYPSY Rose Blanchard. I was enthralled in the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial. I watched every second of it live. That's where I learned what histrionic disorder is. We're going to go over histrionic disorder. Histrionic personality disorder, HPD, is a mental health condition characterized by a pervasive pattern of excessive emotionality and attention-seeking behavior. Individuals with HPD tend to be dramatic, seductive, and easily influenced by others. Symptoms: exaggerated emotional displays, rapidly shifting emotions, attention-seeking behavior, dramatic and theatrical style, seductive and provocative behavior, shallow relationships, difficulty maintaining relationships, impulsivity, sensitivity to criticism. So, what do we think in the comments? HPD? Yeah, I think she has histrionic disorder. 100%, bro. It's related to BPD, which a lot of people claim she has. I think it's HPD. People say she's a narcissist. That tracks too with HPD. This bitch needs to be studied for real. She's got so many of them that could apply, and I don't think she will ever truly be fully diagnosed, because I don't think she'll ever fully be honest with a therapist or a psychologist. Never. She has this act and this persona she puts on to every different person she speaks to, especially a therapist. GYPSY's one of those people as well. I think that if her mind were ever truly studied, she would be locked up forever. But only if she would truly open up about what's in her mind, her thoughts, even what's going on in her bedroom, because she has some sexual deviant behaviors, in my opinion, which also can go along with HPD. I used to think GYPSY was a victim of Munchausen by proxy and SA, and her provocative and deviant sexual behavior fell in line with her childhood SA, in my opinion. Like, that happens with some people, the hypersexuality. But that's also HPD, okay? And that SA could have been a lie for attention-seeking behavior. I mean, now I just think she has a bunch of personality disorders. Have you ever seen those scary movies? Oh my God, I can't even think of one, and I meant to look one up before I got on here. The child is like a psychopath, and they're really creepy trying to kill their foster parents or their parents or some adult or teachers or something. In those movies, I now think of that as Gypsy when she was little. That behavior, that psychopathic behavior, poor Dee Dee. All the things that go along with the PD are being obsessed with the comments, constantly trying to debunk them, that obsession. If we were all wrong, she wouldn't care to debunk the rumors all the time. You know what I mean? But she does, because we're getting the truth out there. Her changing her appearance, that I think is for attention-seeking behavior. She's constantly drastically changing her appearance, the distancing herself from the old me and the new me, changing that persona, becoming that new person, that new hairstyle. She's chopped all her hair off again, which you would think would be a trauma trigger for her from her mom chopping her hair off. But no, it was Gypsy chopping her hair off. She's still doing it. She's starting to spiral and constantly trying to debunk rumors that are coming out. The Barney's been on her mind, like Audrey on TikTok dressed up as a bloody Barney doll for Halloween. And now all of a sudden she's on TikTok live trying to say, well, my mom was just doing laundry. That's why the Barney was there. That was just like 2 days ago. And then on Monday the 3rd, she was on live and I was trying to get in there, but Brie blocked me. Brie blocked me on my Bury in Bed TikTok and then on my Coloring Talk TikTok as well. My color account, Color Bones. Yeah, they blocked me, but I couldn't help myself. Gypsy was talking about how she hasn't gone through all her medical records, and I was like, Becca Skips has gone through all your medical records. You're slacking over there, sister. And they blocked me instantly. So I was trying to watch from my laptop on a different account and record on my phone, and it was just a hot mess. So I only got like 16 minutes of footage, but she was going on and on, just trying to say her side of the story because so much truth is coming out. She's got to try and debunk it because she did it, because we're right. If we weren't right, she wouldn't care. She wouldn't care to constantly be coming online to say, oh, no, that's not true. It was this. It's this. Experts say my mom had Munchausen by proxy. No. If it wasn't true, you'd be like, let them think what they want to think. I know the truth. It's my truth. She even said on this live that she has faded memories that are coming back. I wish I had this screen recorded. Oh my God, this live was gold. I don't even remember everything that was said. I was like cooking dinner and I wasn't writing stuff down. I got one note about, she was talking about a faded memory where in 2000, she's like in 2011 and Bree's like, no, it was in 2009. Like Bree's correcting her. Bree knows more about Gypsy's life than Gypsy does, is what I got from this TikTok live. Okay. And Gypsy was saying that a doctor told her back in 2009 to stand up and she didn't. That's what she's told her, right? Yeah, I didn't stand up. No. But the doctor says she did stand up. She now, just 2 days ago, said she had a faded memory. Faded memory came back. And I remember him telling me to stand up, and I stood up. Which memory is real? I don't know. I've got 2 memories for this now. And which one is the real one? Her words. I wish I had this screen recorded. Someone out there, please tell me you screen recorded that live. There's only 800 people in there. I kept getting kicked out. They even name dropped Crime Weekly. Bree brought up Crime Weekly, which is my favorite true crime podcast, and they had an expert come on and talked about GYPSY Rose Blanchard. They're like, Crime Weekly even had an expert come on and talk about Munchausen by proxy and how she had it. Crime Weekly didn't believe that expert, by the way. Go watch their coverage of it. They did a 6-part series on GYPSY Rose Blanchard, and they had experts come in and interview them. They don't believe the expert. God. She even had to make a point to say, not people on the internet, actual experts say that GYPSY Rose Blanchard had was a victim of Munchausen by proxy. Actual experts who only looked at the coverage on social media, not at the actual facts, not at her actual medical records. None of those experts have seen her medical records. GYPSY Rose Blanchard hasn't even looked at all her medical records. You guys, you said it yourself, Gypsy, and then you blocked me for calling you out for slacking on that. God. I really want to be able to log into my other TikToks on my phone so I can screen record their lives like this. But last time I got locked out of my Bury in Bed TikTok and I somehow on a fluke got back in and I've refused to log out. So I've dropped my mukbang TikTok. I dropped my coloring TikTok. I dropped my Barry Eats TikTok. I dropped all my other TikToks because I'm too scared to get locked out of Bury in Bed TikTok. Because I had a true crime TikTok that 30,000 followers and I got locked out of, and I'm terrified of that happening again. So I'm probably not going to get some of their lives anymore because they've officially blocked me. Bree has blocked me on 2 accounts. If I do get them live, it's going to be I'm going to record my laptop. That's all I got. It's all coming to a head. And we're in the middle of change for GYPSY Rose Blanchard. It's going to be a bad change, girl. Someone put in a request for the 200 videos in your case. They're coming out. They're going to come out. What are you going to do? That's going to be horrible. That's going to be horrible. I mean, no one's going to want to watch them because they're all going to be of her, like, touching herself, you know? Hey, we might get some stuff out of there. She's really crashing out. She tried to change her Wikipedia. Didn't work. Can't use your memoir as a source, girl. Can't use yourself as a credible source. But My Little Pony on TikTok actually did change her Wikipedia, and now the microdeletion is added to her Wikipedia. You're not known as a published author. Sorry, GYPSY. Known as a murderer. You aren't going to get your way, and you might end up back in prison if things are going the way they're going. If this train keeps going as steady as it's going, and this evidence keeps coming out, and more people are going against you, there's going to be a mass amount of people to where no one can sit aside and let this go anymore, and someone is going to put another case against you. And we're all here for it. Someone in my TikTok live called what Becca Scoops does a truth movement. We're all in on it. Everybody's doing it. Whether you're a content creator creating the videos about GYPSY Rose, or you're just engaging, you're watching, you're liking, you're sharing, you're commenting, all of those things help get the message out and help get the truth out. Because in my opinion, there are two victims that are left being vilified. Dee Blanchard and Nicholas Godejohn. Nicholas Godejohn is a man with level 2 autism that was manipulated by a psychopath to kill her mother because he thought that she was going to die in 6 months anyway. It's messed up what she did to these people. Both of them, in my opinion. And as much as this is for me getting the truth out for Dee Blanchard, I want the truth out for Nicholas Godejohn too. He deserves a fair trial in this country. That's all I have to say. Thanks for watching.